along, you're very welcome. Great. Now, so we praise the Lord first of all for this happy moment in the hour of mercy when we ask the Lord to come and reign in this little home, which you always keep well, I see, as do all travellers. You always have a great pride in your home. Come along, you're very welcome. And the feast that we have today, as actually in Meath at least, and I think possibly here, I'm not sure, we have the Feast of Martyrs. It's tomorrow for us, the great local martyr Oliver Plunkett, who was the last of the huge army to be hanged, drawn and quartered at Tyburn, in as late as 1681, actually quite late. But these are the first in Rome. It's the Roman Martyrs, and I'll sit down by all means, and I'll try and explain in a few words what actually happened. It could have gone a different way, but this is the way it started. Heavy bloodshed. Yesterday we had the feast of St. Peter and St. Paul. Well, Peter, of course, once they realized who he was an easy target. He was first of all bishop not in Rome but in Antioch, where Christians were gathering and where they first were called Christians. But then, of course, he ended up in the capital of the West. And with him, the church, as it were, was taking root, because becoming bishop there, he was setting in place the structure of the church as we have it. But it wasn't going to be lasting long. Why? All these popes, starting of course with the first one of all, were immediately got at by the authorities. Why? They wanted to stamp out this whole movement. It was a heavy nuisance for them. Why were they so afraid of Christianity? Well, it's actually ironical. They were accused of being sort of atheists because they weren't honouring the official gods. Rome had its own system of gods, lots and lots of gods. But this Christian thing was not exactly acceptable, and it was going to upset the gods. And the gods had to be honoured in the Roman way, they thought, so as to protect Rome and the empire. So they were going to be persecuted, and they were, big time. So Peter, of course, would have been amongst the first. 3 years later, Paul himself, having been able to do quite a lot of work discreetly, preaching in the area. But Peter then was crucified, as we know. He wasn't a Roman citizen, so had no protection. And he was not worthy, he felt, to be put to death like his master, so he asked to be put to death upside down, and so he was crucified on his head. Paul was beheaded. But what about the others? What happened was this. The emperor at the time, Nero, was a tyrant, a dictator. And like many dictators and tyrants, he had an itch, we think, to do something spectacular and leave his stamp on history. So what would he want to do? Build a fantastic Rome. Well, he's not the first one to have that idea. So people think, with reason probably, that what he did was this. He knew to do that he had to do things before he got to that point to make the terrain already vacant. Wipe out the Rome that was. And so the great fire of Rome, as we would say now, who done it? Well, we think we know. He commanded, it would seem, that great operation to prepare the way for a fantastic Rome that he would build and that would remain forevermore. But of course, what that led to was an immediate backlash from the Romans. That's our city! And they had a pretty good idea what probably was going on. So what did he do? He had a quick brainwave. Oh, I must get a scapegoat. I must find somebody to blame. Yeah, the Christians, yeah, the Christians, they did that, the Christians. The Christians. So there we were, the Christians. All the Christians come this way. And what did he do? He put them in sacks. And in the sacks he put animals who were hungry. He also put pitch on sacks, as kind of petrol, if you like, of the time, and put them on fire and suspended them on kind of torchlight affairs. While he was eating supper calmly, he had living torches in the garden. There were Christians burning in these torches until they died of heat and suffocation. A calm way of spending the evening. But of course, he actually also had to die. He had to die. So it didn't finish there. The Christians he sent with great haste into the beyond, and they went like rockets into glory. Yes, but what about Nero? Well, I've got news for you. It's not good news, because we know that actually he didn't go like a rocket that way. He went like a rocket the other way. And do you know how we know? Well, in recent times, the voice of Nero has been heard. Do you know what exorcism is? Exorcism, yes. Well, it's when a person has been very naughty or whatever, and he's got involved with the dark side, Satanists. Actually, do you know that a magician, a real magician, not a conjurer, a real magician is involved with the dark side. If he's a real magician, he's got powers that aren't just conjuring tricks, they're the real thing. So he's got them from you know who. So he's in a similar situation. If he's given his soul, he's got the powers in return for something like that. So these people who have power for a short time have glory, but old Nick wants his pound of flesh when it comes to death. So it would seem that that's what's happening in these cases. It also happened recently, relatively speaking, in history with the Second World War. The great power of Hitler, where did it come from? We're not quite sure what he was at, but what we do know that his voice too has come out in exorcism. So exorcism is when you're trying to cast out demons from inside people who are possessed. And the demons will speak through the mouth of the possessed person until they're sent out. So that's what happens. And we've got also now knowledge that down there we have people like Hitler, Nero, also Judas Iscariot, the apostle who betrayed Jesus. He's also down there, and his voice has been heard. And he's very interested in priests. Why? He was a priest and a bishop. So these can be so close to the boss, that is the bad boss, Lucifer, Satan, they can actually come on side with him. And that's the kind of thing we have. Everything is reversed. So, where does that lead us? Just be aware, as you look around you at people who are having great success in this world. It might be spectacular success in film worlds, in politics, in business. But if their soul is not looked after, they too may be going the wrong way. So don't look over your shoulder too much to the success of this world. Hang on to what you've got. That applies to everyone, little ones as well. The only thing you're possessor of really is your soul. All the rest you've got to shed and let go, but your soul will go on. That's the bit that has to have a success story at the end. It matters little what you do, even in the football field, if your soul is not going homeward bound.